it's meant to be, then it will, God willing. God willing. Sky's the limit, and I'm busting out the ceiling. Ay. Starting to get to the point where I don't catch feeling. Nah. Just counting these millions, ay. I need 100 a show. If you can't pay, it's a no. I would never sell my soul. That's the truth, Lord knows. All I need is good vibes, so I don't trust these hoes. I done lost my bros. That's just how the game go. Came a long way, get it straight. They want the food on my plate. They don't want to see me strive, but want a piece of the cake. All I need is good vibes, and everything will be great. But they rather tell lies.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Get ready for another episode of Unpopular Opinion. Give yourselves a round of applause one more time. I'm your host, GRANxJEFE, as I am every single day. Get ready for a good episode of Unpopular Opinion. I actually didn't have anything to talk about today. Before we get into the show, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really didn't have anything, to come out here and talk about today. I already knew National Signing Day, or the early signing period was coming up today. So we're going to get in some early signing day period. I've been seeing floating around this Anthony Davis to the Lakers thing. Maybe we'll give that a go. As you guys know, there's no more Thursday night games. Last week was the last Thursday night game for the year. Now they moved them to Saturday games. So we have 2 Saturday games and then the Sunday games. But I just want to talk to you guys before we get started with the show, though. Make sure you guys are following me on Instagram and Twitter at GRANxJEFE, GRANxJEFE, all one word. Make sure you guys are following the Unpopular Opinion Facebook page at Unpopular Opinion 2018, all one word. On Twitter at Unpopular 2018, and on Instagram at Unpopular_opinion 2018. As I've been following the recruitment trail here this morning, obviously Alabama is still gonna be Alabama. They are who they are. But my nose was making a really good push as I'm on Twitter right now and I'm looking, we've got another recruit. Things may be looking good for the Seminoles in the Justin Fields saga. If you haven't heard by now, Justin Fields, the freshman quarterback, the number 1 quarterback of last year's class, he wants to transfer out of Georgia. Now, there's been some questions surrounding how he's going to get out. There's been speculations of people saying that he's getting out because of racist comments and harassment and all that other stuff. And if that's the case, that would grant him the opportunity to play right away at any school because they would grant him a hardship. So he will be immediately, whatever school he chooses, he'll be able to compete right away for a starting job. That situation is going to get a little dicey when you think of the aspect of he played all year. He stayed there all year long. And if it was that bad, this is not me saying this. This is people saying this. These are going to be the questions that the NCAA is going to want answers to as well. And that is, if it was that bad, why did you stay all year? And that's up to Justin Fields and his legal team and his parents. And, they're going to situate that out. I'm hoping he comes to my Seminoles. I'm here, my Seminoles have a great chance at getting him. It's between Florida State, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma did bag a quarterback today. His name is slipping my mind, but Oklahoma did get a quarterback earlier today. And with Urban Meyer leaving, the Ohio State staff, I'm hoping that my Seminoles have a good chance. I'm hearing, DeAndre Francois probably more likely out the door. Is going to transfer out. He did graduate this year, so he's free to go anywhere he wants and compete for a starting job. And he's from that Orlando area, went to IMG Academy. So there's been rumors that he's going to UCF. And then I've been also hearing that James Blackman may transfer out as well. And DeAndre Francois and James Blackman were the only two quarterbacks that was on that staff last year. Obviously, with Hawkman transferring and the other guy, his name is slipping me right now. So, and Sam Howell, the quarterback that Florida State has been recruiting, or he has been committed to Florida State for a little while now because of Walt Bell. But Walt Bell left, obviously, the offensive coordinator last year. He left, and now he's the head coach at UMass. If I'm not mistaken, it's UMass. I could be wrong on that because I think it's more of a worse team than a UMass. Because there was a lot of speculation on he took a pay cut, to be the head coach there. But anyways, Sam Howell, the quarterback out of North Carolina. He's more likely now, rumors are surfacing that he's more than likely going to stay home in North Carolina and go to the University of North Carolina. So Justin Fields would slide right on in there. Perfect. And we have been getting some offensive linemen, but let me check the recruiting rankings. I'm sure nothing has really changed. A lot of people, because I get the ESPN alerts to my phone. Nothing has transpired in a while outside of the three guys from Lakeland all chose University of Florida. I think that was pretty much a guarantee. And the guy pretty much said it. Him and his other teammate was already going to Florida, and then he didn't know that his other teammate was going into yesterday. They probably already knew. I got two teammates going there. Let's go there and ball out. So Florida kind of moves up in the rankings there. I'm actually quite surprised to see Florida State. Honestly, I'm quite surprised to see them being having the best recruiting class in the state of Florida, beating the Gators, beating Miami, the two teams that we lost to this year, and we got demolished by Florida. Miami, that game was close. We was actually winning in that game by 21. N'Kosi Perry came back down. They beat us 28-27. But Willie Taggart seems to be putting together a pretty nice recruiting class. After the bowl game, in a few weeks, in a few days, we should hear something on the Kendall Browse to Florida State. That there's a lot of people already penciling that in, saying that already is a done deal. They just wait until after the bowl game to kind of help Houston's recruits, so it doesn't completely crashes their recruiting trail. But a lot of smart people are saying Kendall Browse to Florida State is almost a done deal. And supposedly he's bringing his offensive coordinator, so that means Greg Fry probably in the upcoming weeks will probably no longer have a job either. So there's that college football. We're gonna switch over to some to talk some LeBron James, talk some Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis, New Orleans Pelicans. Now, obviously, it's been rumored since the offseason that Anthony Davis is probably going to go to L.A. Before LeBron chose L.A., they were already saying it's probably going to be LeBron James and Anthony Davis in L.A. They had penciled that in a long time ago. And obviously, there was a question, I think Dave McMenamin of ESPN asked LeBron James about that. And LeBron said, yeah, I mean, that'd be great if we could trade for Anthony Davis. So now, obviously, everybody's on high alert. Everybody is talking about it. You won't find a station today that probably won't be talking about Anthony Davis to LA. There was already reports a few weeks back when the Bill and Wall situation start happening, that maybe Bradley Beal can slide up there in LA. But there has been reports saying that the LA Lakers do not want Bradley Beal. They want Anthony Davis. I think they'll probably get Anthony Davis. Now, New Orleans front office personnel, as they should, have already came out and said, listen, we want to keep Anthony Davis and we want to get pieces to build around him. We don't want to trade him. But I guarantee you, if Anthony Davis feel that they can't get anybody in there and he's just wasting away time without getting any rings, because let's be honest here. We know that's what athletes care about. We know that they care about getting rings because that's how they're judged by their peers. How many rings did you get? Yeah, this guy was a great player, but how many rings did he get? Charles Barkley, they still talk about it to this day. How good was Charles, but he never got a ring. You know, nobody want to have that. Reggie Miller, you know. So Anthony Davis is going to have to make a decision. Do I stay loyal to a franchise where I know I'm not doing anything? Or do I go team up in LA with LeBron and try to win championships? Now, their game really don't complement each other. I just think they're both good enough players that they can kind of figure it out. You know, Kyrie and LeBron didn't work either. Kyrie is a shoot first guy. He's a scorer at all times. And that's not how LeBron liked to play. But it worked because they was so good of a player. Kyrie is such a great player that it had no choice but to work, you know. But I think I see that same thing with Anthony Davis. I think this guy is so good. I think he's so good that it will have no choice but to work, you know. I think they're that great. I think those two are that great of a player. Now, they will still probably need not another superstar, but I think they would probably need like another star, because especially if Kevin Durant stays in Golden State, you know, they would need a second star, or a third star. But I think LeBron and Anthony Davis will be able to do it if they just get a nice player, you know, say like of a Devin Booker type caliber, not a guy that's a superstar, but a guy that's a really, really, really good player, star caliber, who have potential to maybe be a superstar. And I think that would be the best combination in LA. As I pulled up Twitter here, I just realized that in that mix, it was Alabama had the number 1 recruiting class, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Georgia that had the number 2 recruiting class. And then number 3 is a guy that I've been talking about on this show. You guys have heard me. If you haven't, listen, they've in the archives of any time I talk Florida State football or any time I mention a Jimbo Fisher. I always say I do not like Jimbo Fisher, but there's 2 things Jimbo Fisher can do. And one, that's get you in the NFL. We've seen it. You know, Christian Ponder, Jameis Winston. Obviously, Jameis Winston was good enough to go. And E.J. Manuel, all first-round picks. Jamarcus Russell, add that to the list of quarterbacks that he's gotten first-round draft picks for. But I've always said he can do this better than he can do anything else, and that's recruit. Already, first year at Texas A&M, he's already got the 3rd best recruiting class in the nation. I've always said it. He's going to turn. He's not a good coach per se. He can just recruit really, really well. And when you recruit that well, why do you think Florida State was always at the top? And now look where we at when he decides to leave. You know, a lot of recruits backed out last year when Jimbo Fisher said that he's leaving. We lost a lot of recruits. Why? Because they know Jimbo Fisher, he's a mastermind, and he can get the recruits in there, and he's going to have this Texas A&M program, one of the top programs in the SEC, willing to compete with a Nick Saban, because he's right there in that Texas pipeline. He's still got that Florida connection, you know, that Florida, Georgia, Alabama area. You know, Nick, he recruits in Virginia. That's where Jalen Ramsey is from. If I'm not mistaken, he's from that Virginia area. EJ Manuel was from that Virginia area. Christian Ponder, although that was Bobby Bowden's head coaching years, Jimbo Fisher was already on staff as the offensive coordinator. Jimbo Fisher, Christian Ponder from Texas, he got ties. California kids. Jimbo Fisher is well connected in recruiting circles. He's a really good recruiter. He knows what to sell to you, and he delivers on it. Texas A&M, third best recruiting class. Jimbo Fisher's first season with them. That is what Texas A&M is gonna get used to, and I'm telling you, they're gonna be able to compete with Alabama. He's gonna get that dual threat quarterback in. He's gonna get very good tight ends because that's what he do. Jimbo Fisher uses his running backs, his tight ends really, really well. Tight ends in the screen games, tight ends up the middle, seam routes. You're gonna have to cover a lot of motion. Jimbo Fisher is gonna do good in the SEC, especially he's gonna have that SEC defense. Those guys still want to go there. Now he's going to get the fast guys that Texas A&M probably wouldn't have got. Now he's getting those guys too. So Texas A&M already at 13 on the 3 in the recruiting rankings. This has been kind of a slow day, kind of on the early signing day. I believe this is the second year of the early signing period. It's the second year that they did it. Last year, Georgia was the number 1 recruiting class. Alabama was the number 2 last year. They flip-flopped. This is amazing. Since 2011, so we're talking about 9 years. Since 2011, Alabama has only not been the number 1 recruiting class 3 times. And 2 of those times, they were the number 2 recruiting class, and last year they wasn't number 2. Last year they were number 6. So that was their worst finish since 2011. Every other year they were 1, and then 2 times they were 2 since 2011. That's crazy what Nick Saban has been able to do, and that's the reason why I always say I don't think Nick Saban is as great of a coach as people say he is. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you always have the best players, it's not hard to be good. When you're always first, especially in college football where your guys have to be there for 3 years. So you're getting the best recruiting class this year. You got these guys for 3 years. Then you get the best recruiting class next year. You got these guys for 3 years. And then you get the best recruiting class the next year and these guys for 3 years. And then you got another recruiting class the next year that's number 1. And this recruiting class that you got 3 years ago, now these guys are seniors and juniors. It's not that hard to be that great. Eric Spoelstra once went to 4 straight NBA finals. What have he done since then? Phil Jackson only got his 6 rings with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, and Shaq. Dennis Rodman, all guys that was in the top 50 players that's ever played in the NBA. Whether they are now, it doesn't even matter. Whether you would say, well, Dennis Rodman probably not a top 50 player now for some people. Well, it doesn't matter because when he played, he was. So that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter whether he is or isn't now. The point with that be is, what was he when he played? So Phil got his 6 rings that way, and then his 5 rings the other way. So what has he done outside of that? When you're constantly getting the best players, you're gonna be good. You should be good. Duke should be good. Coach K should win if he can get 4 of the top 10 players in the country. 1, 2, 3, and then I think Trey Jones was like number 7 or 10 or something like that, or 12. Come on, man! Those teams supposed to be good. So you shouldn't get that much credit when it works, but you should get all the blame when it doesn't, because you done stacked the deck. Nick Saban is getting number 1 recruit. he had a stretch where in 2011 I think he had the number 2 recruiting class, and from 2012 till I want to say like 2015 or 2016, he had number 1 recruiting class. You're getting the best guys every year. Yes, of course you should be good. What happened when he went to the NFL and the talent is more scattered? See, the NFL humble a lot of people. That's why it's so good that Pete Carroll could do it. Although he was there once before and he went back to college, but he went back to the NFL and he almost built the dynasty in Seattle. I'm telling you. And this ain't hindsight 2020. We're talking about give Marshawn Lynch the ball. Everybody was wondering why you don't give Marshawn Lynch the ball. That's not hindsight 2020. The guy at that time who had the best percentage average as far as touchdown on runs on the goal line like that, you give him the ball, with a timeout, with all that time left. Listen, he almost built a dynasty. Imagine if they win that Super Bowl and they go back to back. That team never breaks up. Regardless of what they got going on, that team never breaks up. That team will always, or probably would still be together right now. Because as long as you winning, everything is fine. Management will put up with arguing. Oh, you don't like the coach. Oh, you don't think Russell Wilson is black enough. Whatever, man. We're winning. It's fine. It's cool. Once you start losing, now it's time to start weeding out these troublemakers. Quote unquote troublemakers. Now it's time to get rid of the Shermans, the Chancellors, the Michael Bennetts. It's time to get rid of those guys. Why? Because those are the guys that talk a lot. See, we want guys to just stay there and not say anything. We get rid of the guy that Philadelphia just got from Detroit, Tate. We get rid of Tate. See, these guys talk. We want robots. We want people not to say anything. But when you win, you can say whatever you want. Because you know why? Because now you still feeding the pockets of that billionaire owner. That's why. You still feeding the pockets. Once you start losing, guess what? Production, people start coming to the games, or less people start coming to the games. So that means ticket sales are down, jersey sales are down, concessions is down, parking is down. Oh, and see, now you got to go because we need people in here that's not going to cause an uproar. Yeah, that's what we need. Hey, but that's the life, man. But that's going to be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate you guys for coming by, listening to the podcast. Give yourself a round of applause. I thank you guys for all the love and support that you guys show me. Make sure you guys, I will be on tomorrow. Sorry about yesterday. I know I was supposed to be doing daily, but this was supposed to be 2 weeks later. But since I told you guys early, I'm gonna follow up on that. I will be on tomorrow and Friday. Make sure you guys catch me on RTF Sports Talk live tomorrow, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I thank you guys for all the love and support, man. You guys been rocking with me for a while. I catch you guys on tomorrow's show, both of them. Long week.
If it's meant to be, then it will, God willing. God willing. Sky's the limit, and I'm busting out the ceiling. Hey. Starting to get to the point where I don't catch feeling. Nah. Just counting these millions, hey. I need 100 to show. If you can't pay, it's a no. I would never sell my soul. That's the truth, Lord knows. All I need is good vibes, so I don't trust these hoes. I've been lost my bros. That's just how the game goes. Came a long way, get it straight. They want the food on my plate. They don't want to see me strive, but want a piece of the cake. All I need is good vibes, and everything will be great. But they rather tell lies. I don't have time for the fake. Who would've knew? Praying to God, asking what do I do? I've been the truth since since I came out the womb. Keep it 100, got nothing to lose, got nothing to fear. Let it be clear, God got my back when nobody